Hello all. Thank you for coming to visit here today again. This is going to be the third and most likely the final part of this little series that I'm creating, showing you how I put together a journal page. You can find two previous videos which I will link below, where I show you how I got to this stage. But today is the moment where we're going to finish it all, give it a focal image, and around that focal image, create a collage with various little embellishments. So, what is it that you can use to create such a collage? Well, first of all, you need a focal image. The one that I chose is a little download that I got on Etsy. I'll link the lady below in case you're interested. There are numerous vintage photos that you can download either for free or purchased. And then, of course, as many of you will be aware, they're the very well-known paper dolls by Tim Holtz. And I've used those on many of my journal pages. It's just for this one, I couldn't find one that was quite the right size. So I decided to go with this download. And then among all my stash, I found a variety of other little bits and pieces. For a collage like this, I think it's always a good idea to have some words. They sort of draw you in, tell a story about your little page or your bigger page for that matter, and just bring the whole composition together. And then I collected some labels. I made a little stamped embellishment. I found this in my stash. It's not a real stamp. It's again a download which I cut with a pair of hair cutting scissors to give it a sort of typical postage stamp edge. And I also found this little number. I always think it's nice to have embellishments in different shapes, and a circle can just help to break up all the other bits. So the next step would be to play around with them and to find a thing that really works for you. Now, before I started this video, I did that already, and then I was kind of satisfied with the way it looked, and I was happy with the composition. I did something which I would highly recommend if you don't want to spend too long playing around, changing, then remember how did you glue it, and so on and so on. So what I did was, when I was happy, I simply took a photo. Yeah, I hope you can see that, and it isn't too glary. And now I know I can put it to the side and I can see, yeah, that looked right. No, you've still got the option to change it a bit and so on, but it just, helps you put it together the way you like it. Now, before I'm going to start doing that, and I'll try and do it quickly so that it isn't too boring, I want to point out a few things. On a tiny scale like this, with tiny little embellishments, this little tool can be really useful because you hold it like this, you glue, you put it down where you want it. And other thing I would say is, if you download an image like this, you will see, because I fussy cut it, it's got the right edge. It's a good idea to go around it with some ink just to get rid of that edge. Now, to find the embellishment, as I said already, you can download them, you can buy them in packets, you can stamp them yourself, as I did here. There is endless places where you can download these things. You can also take something like this and still add some stamping to it, which if I'd brought the right ink, well, we could try it. Take a little stamp. I've got a whole box here, let me show you this. There's sort of various stamps from different collections and different places that you can use to add to your compositions, but also to create your own embellishments with. So let's look at the size of this. Just find something. Let's take this thing here. I don't necessarily need a stamping block for it. I just want to break the blankness off a bit. Let's get it the right way around. That's always kind of important. I've done that wrong on many an occasion. So, just any old bit, doesn't matter. See, it just breaks it up a bit. All right, now let's get started. I look at my photo again, and off we go. I'm going to start with this bit. What I didn't mention, of course, is that you need some glue. Any glue will do. Even a glue stick would easily do the trick. And then you just put them in a composition that is pleasing to your eye. I would always recommend to look at the overall picture, but then also to arrange your embellishments like in groups. Bigger pieces, smaller pieces. I'm going to ink around this a little bit. These two bits here that I'm putting down now are parts of a snippet collection by Mr. Holtz. The famous Mr. Tim Holtz that I'm sure most of you are very well familiar with. All right. Now you see this right angle here. I always think it makes it more pleasing if you break that up with an element in a different shape. But you know, ultimately, you do you. Whatever pleases your eye will be fine. It also always is a good idea to arrange things in threes. That's a well-known compositional rule, but again, there is no real reason for it other than it just looks better. Can you see I left the edge here not totally glued down, which makes it possible to stick this underneath here. Now, I'm contradicting myself, right? Because here's another little right angle. But it would be silly to put a second circle here. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to ink it a bit. Just needs a little bit only just to take the right edge off. Stick it down and just be happy with it. Right way up. That's kind of important. And press it down. All right, now let's put our little lad down. But I don't want him to float in the air. So in order to stop that, I'm going to use something which I haven't mentioned yet, and that is some washi tape. I like this particular one. I got it years ago from a Japanese place, I think. And what I like about it is that it's a bit see-through and it's quite neutral. I'm going to break it and I'm going to tear it because it's too wide for my purpose, but it just gives me something to anchor the recap on. You see, this collaging is always something that it's a process and you never quite know what's going to happen, and that's perfectly all right. So yeah, it always sticks when you don't want it to stick, and it doesn't stick when you want it to stick. I'll cut that off later. All right, it's a bit squint, but hey ho, I'll live with that. Actually, I could lift it. That's the other good thing about washi tape. You can lift it and put it down straight. I'll actually probably just put it right at the bottom here. You can still see my number there. And now we can stand. There you go. Yep. Happy with that. There's even a line here on the washi tape, which will form just make him stand perfectly. Alright, so now we need to finish it. I'll keep looking over to my reference picture there on the side. So that's the numbering will fit here sort of towards the top. So we'll ink it a bit again to get the white edge off. Spilling a bit of glue, but never mind. All right, then you see how there's this postage mark there? That was just good luck. I'll just, because it would be better if it went over the postage stamps, but hey, oh, it will do like this. So, ink the edges again. Move it a little bit down. And now all that's finished, all that's needed to finish it is to add the words. Creative journey, because that's what it's all about. It's all a journey. A journey full of learning and hopefully full of creativity. And that's what we want. I always have huge problems getting things straight. And that's where a glue stick would actually be almost better, because you have more wiggle room. But anyway, it will do. All right, so here we go. All that's left to do is cut off this little edge. And there you have it. One finished vintage journal page. Oh, I always struggle getting that pin back in the glue. All right, friends, that's the end of the first part of this little series. But I plan to do a next little series, and that's how to make a thing on the back page of this, and you'll see in a minute why. Just look what happens if you stamp on coffee stained paper. It goes through, so we need something to cover this. And what I was thinking is, I'll make a sort of panel that will flap up and we'll add all sorts of things to it. So we'll do that together again, and you'll see me back in a few days creating that in front of you with a bit of luck. So until then, I thank you very, very much for your visit. I want to welcome my new followers. It's lovely to have you with me. If you like this video, like I always say, please like and subscribe. And most importantly of all, have a lovely creative day. And thank you for coming by.